Alright guys, today we're going to be talking about Chappell Roan, and it's not because she's talking about particular political candidates or endorsing trans children. It's because she went on Call Her Daddy, the biggest female podcast in the world, and said she doesn't want anybody to call her mommy. That's right, Chappell Roan says she doesn't want kids, and she hasn't heard of a single person that she knows having kids and becoming happier on the other end. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, as you look around, you can probably tell things are a little bit different. We've moved the set around quite a bit, and I'm changing the setup. So things are going to change over time. The background's going to change around. The sound is going to sound different. Don't worry. So stick with me as things progress. Now, let's get into Chappell Roan in this clip from Call Her Daddy, where she says, I don't know a single person with kids who is happy. And for those of you who don't know who Chappell Roan is, she's a fresh new pop artist on the scene. She won Best New Artist at the Grammys recently. She's known for dressing in drag, being sort of ultra feminist, and for a little bit of an abrasive personality.
All of my friends who have kids are in hell. I don't know anyone. I actually don't know anyone who's like happy and has children at this age. I have like a 1-year-old, like 3-year-old, 4 and under, 5 and under. I literally have not met anyone who's happy, anyone who has like light in their eyes, anyone who has slept.
So yeah, that's the clip in question, and it's garnered a lot of very strong responses. There are other like single modern day feminist women who are saying absolutely Chappell. I don't know a single woman with kids who is happy. We're hearing from married women with children who are saying that they've been so fulfilled by having children, but you also see women with children who are seconding what Chappell Roan is saying and saying, you know what, I have kids and it's not the happiest thing in the world, and I wish more young women would speak in this way. Now, do I have a particularly strong opinion on this clip? No, I've heard it a million times before, and this very well could be Chappell Roan's experience, that all her friends who have kids are currently not dealing that well with the change in life that comes with having children, and she's soaking in that experience and then going on a podcast like Call Her Daddy and calling motherhood hell. This is the prevailing narrative among young leftist women anyways, so to hear this is not at all shocking. What does really stand out to me is the word hell. That's a pretty dramatic characterization of motherhood, and I think Chappell Roan in particular has the worst point of reference for giving any sort of commentary on motherhood as a young woman who's in Hollywood, who is a pop star, and who also happens to be lesbian. So I don't know if I would go to her for her opinion on motherhood and what it's like to have children. What sucks in realizing that is, of course, Chappell Roan is a pop star, which means she's influencing a lot of young women in particular who are looking to her for everything. They're looking to her for her makeup and her fashion, but also for her takes on politics and culture, and that involves her take on motherhood, which she is referring to as hell. I just don't think it's an accurate depiction or characterization of motherhood whatsoever. Now, in saying that, I don't think that Chappell Roan is necessarily lying about her perspective on motherhood or mischaracterizing it. I kind of liken it to, you know, when you have a boyfriend or a significant other and something goes wrong in the relationship and you want somebody to talk to about it, so you reach out to a friend of yours and you let them know what's happening in your relationship because it is a particular problem that you want to vent about or get out in the open air, and that particular friend walks away thinking that you're in the worst relationship ever, or you're being abused, or he's not right for you, even though you told them 1% of a 100% relationship that has a lot of positive and negative aspects around it, and now that person will never be the same around your significant other. It's exactly like that. I'm sure she met a friend who has kids, or a few friends who have kids. She went over to their house. They're having a particularly tough time. The kid's throwing a tantrum. They look exhausted. They just had a baby. They're getting up in the middle of the night to breastfeed. And then Chappell Roan walks away from that in her single pop star life and goes, oh my gosh, being a mother is hell. Then she goes on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast, which is a podcast all about, you know, women taking on this masculinized version of what womanhood can be in the modern day and age. And she says motherhood is hell. It's really that simple. And it seems like I'm not the only one who noticed this. Here's a viral tweet in response to what Chappell Roan said. Chappell Roan going on Call Her Daddy saying none of her friends with kids are happy is a prime example of why you cannot just vent to anyone, because I guarantee she has this perspective because a few of her mom friends are going through it, and may a friendship like that never ever 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 find me. May the friendships of narcissistic childless women with no sense of loyalty ever find me, lol. And there's a good point in that. Like, not only did Chappell Roan walk away with that perspective on motherhood, but she aired out that perspective perspective on Call Her Daddy. So what she essentially said is, shout out to all of my friends who are mothers. I know you guys are miserable and your children are making you live in hell. So if you're one of Chappell Roan's friends who has kids and it is in fact not hell, you're being characterized as a mother who hates the position that she's in and hates taking care of children. Oops. So I have a strong feeling that not only is the anecdotal information that Chappell is sharing on Call Her Daddy untrue, but also there's not a lot of data to support the conclusion that she's coming to with that anecdotal information. In fact, when we're looking at women's happiness in married situations, we find that married women with children are far happier than married women without children. So what does that tell you? And that's not to say that having children isn't difficult, which I think is what Chappell Roan has been able to witness. There will be sleepless nights and temper tantrums and an enormous amount of energy from yourself being completely bestowed upon another person, sometimes at 100% at any given moment. But that is what having kids is. And believe it or not, people find fulfillment in that. So while you may see somebody with bags under their eyes, who's maybe emotionally stressed, who's low in energy, they are willing to do that for the sake of taking care of their children. And we can think about that when we look at childbirth. A lot of women, we know that childbirth is a really painful experience to go through. It's really stressful on the body. But I know several women who have had kids and they say, you know what, that was a tough experience, but I would go through that 1,000 times over if it meant having my child. Or I will do it again to have several other children. So I guess what I'm saying is I think Chappell Roan's statement is just a little bit inconsistent with reality. But what can I say? We have other clips from this very podcast where she is clearly inconsistent with reality. Let's watch one.
Wait, are you single?
No.
You're fucking lying. No, you're lying. You're fucking lying to me right now. Chappell? How long?
6 months.
Is it casual?
No.
Serious?
It's serious. It's serious.
How does that
I'm
make you
very
feel?
in love. But I am pro single. Everyone should be single. I'm serious. Be single. Stop dating. Be single. Have a great time alone. Find out for yourself if you can 100% be okay alone before you date. That's what I found out. I had a great time when I was single. And I know that I will be okay. And now I have an awesome time that I'm with someone.
So there you go. Chappell wants you to be single, but she's not single. A lot of feminist man haters want you to hate men. They have men. A lot of these leftists out in the streets who are crying about white supremacy and the inherent racism of white people, they're going home to white men. You heard it here first, folks. And that's just a small example, but it is a blatant inconsistency. And if you can recognize that, we should maybe look back at her other statements and see what we can glean from them. And this is not to say that Chappell is always wrong or inconsistent. It's just to say that maybe she didn't really hit the mark with this one. And there might be instances in which she has, and mothers who say, you know what, I second that. Motherhood is hell. But I don't think that's the vast majority of women who decide to have children. So there's the narrative and the reality. The narrative may be that motherhood is hell, but the reality probably paints a very different picture. And then there's persona and the person. And in this instance, we have the persona of Chappell Roan, who is a badass lesbian, a woman in a male-dominated field, who is a feminist and empowering young women. But then we have the person who is really just Kaylee Rose Amstutz. And Chappell Roan is very adamant about the fact that Chappell Roan is a persona. It is separate from Kaylee Rose Amstutz, the woman who takes on that character of Chappell Roan. And while Chappell Roan might be telling you to be a single girl boss who's happy being alone, Kaylee Rose Amstutz is in a relationship and it's not casual. And while Chappell Roan is telling you that motherhood is hell and having kids is going to make you miserable, I think Kaylee Rose Amstutz is going to have a few very critical conversations with a few of her friends if their ears are open and they listen to what she just said. Unless what she said is true and they are having her pass on this little token, this gem of information to a world of young women and telling them that motherhood sucks. And of course, I don't know who Kaylee Rose Amstutz is. Maybe she's this happy bubblegum princess who's go-lucky and everything in life is just beautiful and wonderful. But I have seen quite a bit of Chappell Roan, and Chappell Roan does not seem to be the happiest individual on the planet. She's constantly complaining about having to be looked to for political takes or any sort of important information as a pop star. She's complaining about fame and what comes along with it, about all the work she has to do in her current position as a single woman who is also a pop star. And she's also spoken at length about not having the best mental health. So I just don't know whether or not this is somebody I go to for a take on happiness. And that's not a dig to her. It's just a recognition of what's going on and an acknowledgement of the reality here. So with that, this viral clip from Call Her Daddy did not change my world, and hopefully it doesn't change yours. And if you're a young woman who's looking to Chappell Roan for a take on whether or not you should become a mother, just wait it out and look within yourself and within other places of the world, and I think you'll find a better answer. Guys, those are my thoughts on this clip. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments down below. As always, if you disagree with me on this topic, duke it out in the comments down below, but do so respectfully. We encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better.